Lowe again. Our guest today is a veteran actor who made his screen debut in Reflections in a Golden Eye. He most recently was seen in his Oscar-nominated role in the acclaimed Jackie Brown. Please join us in welcoming the highly respected Robert Forster. And now, here's your puckish man of the half hour, Skip E. Lowe.
You know, working the Catskills, late 50s, early 60s. I used to work the Catskills a lot as a comic. And I used to work a club up in Rochester, New York. I can't remember the name of it, but I did a lot of shows there. And it was a great Italian club. Loads of Italians in Rochester. Robert Forster, how are you?
Pretty good, Skip. Thanks.
Rochester, New York.
What was the name of that club?
I'm trying to think.
Maybe it was the Bamboo Club?
That
was
could
it
be
that?
Could
oh,
be.
Be careful. That place had a reputation.
It did, yes.
Yeah.
Strippers and stuff
I think
like
so.
that. Yeah, I worked with the gem of the exotics, Hope Diamond. Anyway, let's get back. Robert Forster from Rochester, beginning growing up there. When did Robert Forster start thinking about acting?
It came as a bit of a surprise, Skip. I was a senior at the University of Rochester. I was studying history and psychology, and I was going to be a lawyer for no particular reason. In my senior year, I was getting out of the car, my first day of class, I think, and I spotted a girl. She was wearing a black London fog raincoat and high heels, and I was thunderstruck, as they say. I locked the car quick, and I followed her, trying to think of what to say to her. You know,
Right.
I was a little shy, and she walked into the auditorium, and I followed her in there, and they were doing an audition for Bye Bye Birdie, and she was in the crew. And I couldn't think of a better way to do it, so I got involved in the play, and in order to chase her. And
was that your very first play?
Yeah. And then I did another little play in my senior year. Somebody asked me to do an Irish comedy, and I did that. By the time I graduated, I didn't want to be an actor, a lawyer anymore. I wanted to be an actor. I had no idea how you do it, but I got some experience in the Rochester Theater, the community theater.
Moved to New York.
Went to New York City, got a reading for a play, got the play. It was Mrs. Dally Has a Lover. We opened on Broadway in 1965 with Arlene Francis. The play closed after about 2 months. And the agents arranged a deal for me out here at 20th Century Fox. I went straight to Rochester. I proposed to the girl in the black raincoat. We got married. We have 3 daughters. And
you're kidding.
And I wasn't kidding.
You fell in love with her.
I did indeed.
Robert, you mean you first went to New York, got a Broadway show right away?
Well, not right away.
Well, the very first.
Took a year. I mean, that seems almost right away. But
did you study when you arrived in New York?
You know, I didn't study much. I was trying to scrape a living out, and I went to a couple of classes, maybe 4 or 5
with
during
who?
that year. With somebody I knew had a class, and I went with them, and I met a girl there, and she was the one who asked me to do a scene for an agent, which is how I got the Broadway play.
I see.
So one thing leads to another. You never know what you're going to find when you take a step.
Absolutely. Streetcar Named Desire. When did that come?
That was a couple of years later. No, I did. First, it was off Broadway.
Right.
I did a tour of that with. Oh boy, come up
Glass
with the name.
Menagerie. You've done a lot of Tennessee Williams plays, it seems.
I directed the Glass Menagerie in Rochester, and I did the Streetcar a couple of times. Once was at Lincoln Center, as you say.
12 Angry Men, one of my favorite plays.
I met a guy doing 12 Angry Men. Boy, there's something. It's getting worse too. This thing with names, but Rudy Bond. You may not know Rudy, but Rudy is now passed. But his claim to fame was he was one of the card players in the original production of Streetcar Named Desire in 1948 with Marlon. And when I met him, we were doing 12 Angry Men. He was playing the foreman of the jury, and I was playing the Henry Fonda part. And he said to me, Bob, he said, you can't just be an actor. He said, you got to have special talents working for you. He said that you always got to be working on other stuff. You can't just be an actor. If you're an actor only, you're like a guy standing on one foot. You can't do it forever. You got to have something else going for you. And this guy encouraged me, and I recommend that to actors. You got to have other things.
That?
Sure.
To get other things?
You got to be doing other things. Otherwise, you're you're a one-note guy. So
I see.
if you've got special talents, and I tell a little story occasionally. Do you know our friend Joe Tata?
Joe Tata, no. Okay,
Joe,
go ahead.
Joe Tata, most people will know him after I finish the story, but he had a special talent. Joe was a guy who came out a little before me, and he had some decent jobs, but then, he ran into a rough stretch, which we all know about.
Right.
Guy could not get a job, and for a long time, we could not cross him off the list. Once in a while, when a guy's gotten a job, you say, hey, you're working, we cross you off the list, get out of here, we don't have to worry about you anymore.
Right.
We could never cross Joe off the list. Then he got a reading for a television show, and they liked him. They brought him back to meet the producers. They liked him. They brought him back to network. Now, you know what network's about.
Of course.
It's a very intimidating room, and he said that when they brought him into the room, she left him there in the middle of the floor, and nobody was paying attention to him, and he couldn't quite see the executives. They're all sort of in shadow, and they got a lot of lights shining in his eyes. Finally, he said nobody said anything to him. He started doing a little soft shoe. By the time he finished, he looked up. They were all smiling. They were clapping. He got the job. 90210 is the show. He's the guy that runs the Peach Pit Inn because he had a special talent. He could do the soft shoe, and so forth. So
when did Robert Forster decided to come to Hollywood, or Hollywood brought you for the very, very first film? Tell me.
After I did the play, Mrs. Dally Has a Lover.
Right.
The agent made a deal for me out here at Fox. I went to Rochester. I married that girl.
Right.
We drove out here. We got an apartment on Fountain Avenue. We had the phone installed, and the first call was from the agent, who said, do you happen to know who John Huston is? I said, no, I don't. At the time, I didn't know who he was.
Right.
But he called me back to New York, and I did a little fast audition for him, and next thing you know, I had a job.
Elizabeth Taylor.
Yep.
Who else was in this?
Marlon Brando. Brian Keith.
What a movie, Reflection.
You bet.
That was one of the big movies.
You bet.
And working your scenes with who in that? Do you remember?
Well, with Elizabeth Taylor, Marlon Brando.
Tell me, working with these two people. I mean, giants, all of a sudden, Robert Forster from Rochester, New York, and got right in there. How did you feel?
I figured that if anybody had to worry, it was them. They didn't know whether I could do what I was supposed to do. I wasn't worried about them, and what I had to do was, I'm lucky I didn't have to speak because I hadn't really figured out how you do it. Huston, however, gave me a terrific piece of advice. Now, I tell a long story, but I'll jump right to the punchline. After telling me that he had some instructions for me, I told him I had never done a movie when I met him. I had only done one Broadway play. I said I wasn't bad. I said, but I don't make myself an actor.
You're honest.
I said I never made a movie, and I didn't know how they were made. I didn't know what the tricks were, but I told him I'd give him his money's worth.
Right.
And he said, eventually hired me, and he said, I'll give you some instruction. And time after time, he said, but later. He'll give it to me later. When we got to the first day of production is when I got out of the car, and he said, now's the time, Bobby. I went over to him. He said, look through the lens. And I looked through the lens, and I turned to him, and he said, you see those? Those are the frame lines, he said. I said, yeah. He said, now ask yourself this. What needs to be there? In one fell swoop, the guy told me that it wasn't his job to take me by the hand and lead me from step A to step B to step D.
Right.
It was my job, that if I didn't take the responsibility to figure out what needed to be within those frame lines, he couldn't do it for me, and no one else can. It's your job, your responsibility. If you don't do it, this is like life, and applies to everything. If you don't take the responsibility to do it, nobody can do it for you. Not your mother, not your best friend, not your wife. Only you can, and so...
What's Dan is Dead? Tell me about that outstanding performance of Dan is Dead, or Don is Dead, or what?
Don is Dead?
Yeah.
Oh, that was a mafia picture. It was with... see, now you're talking to a guy.
You don't like to do mafia movies, though, Robert. I see that you didn't like to do those type of stuff.
Why? I've done several.
You've done, that's what I mean. You've now Delta Force. You were a crazy man on Delta Force.
Yeah, this wasn't a mafia picture, though. No, this is Delta Force was the first bad guy I played in 1985. And I didn't play a good guy for 13 years. See what happens when you go down a road?
Right.
They don't let you play good guys anymore. But it was that was an Arab terrorist, not a mafiosi.
Yeah. That was a good movie. Shelley Winters, Susan Strasberg, Lady Gazan.
Yes.
Wonderful actresses.
Yes. It was a good picture, actually.
Yes. Did you study with Strasberg?
I did not.
You never studied with Strasberg? Who did Robert Forster start studying with?
I didn't.
You really didn't?
No,
So you're a pure actor?
No.
Yes, you are.
You know what? If I've talked to 225 actors on the subject, I've heard at least 225 different stories about what they do. Everyone does it his own way.
Right.
Based, I suppose, from the first time he or she said to himself, I'd like to do this, I wonder how you do it. And then you start collecting ideas. So I consider it to be, a unique talent. Everybody's got his own. They decide
style,
what it is they have to bring to the subject, and they experiment until something feels easy and comfortable, and it serves the interests of
So Robert Forster
everybody.
Brings his own personality into it, like John Wayne. He was a pure actor. He never studied either.
Well, you know what I always say, Skip, it's not that hard. I can do it. What's hard is to get a job. Kids can do it.
You
There's this many actors.
You really believe that,
There's
Robert?
this many jobs.
You really
now,
believe it's luck?
Well, there's a lot of luck. Sure, you got to be lucky.
Am I right?
Listen, if you're not lucky, like I say, you can languish in this town and never get any work. But it's not hard to do, but it's hard to get good at, because if you don't get work, you can't get good at it.
But you've been lucky.
I've been very lucky.
Immediately you got in this town. You got 3 series right away. Banyan, tell me about that. You got a TV series. Robert Forster, it was easy for you.
Well, I had done a couple of pictures before that, so it wasn't brand new.
You know what I mean, for TV and stuff like that. You got into a lot of series, 3 of them.
Well, 3 unsuccessful series.
But they were
they 3 failures. But I had a good time doing them, and experience yields information. You can't learn less; you must learn more. So every step of the way, you learn something, and eventually, if you hang in there long enough, you get a chance to put it to work.
Banyan. Is that your favorite? One of your favorites?
30s detective, old cars, old clothes, old
fast girls,
jokes,
fast
women. And they all lied to me. I wonder what that was all about. No, that's what they do in the detective pictures.
What's Once a Hero? What was that
Once a Hero was a great little series written by a guy named Dusty Kay, who was continues to be a friend, and took the character that I played in Banyan.
Right.
And sort of made it into a fantasy character, a guy who had come out of the dime store novels, detective, and came into the real world and was fascinated to see what was going on in the real world, and was partnered up with a guy who came out of a comic book, a superhero with a cape, and but who had no superpowers in the real world. A fun picture, a fun series.
And you've appeared on many television shows, Standing Tall, Police Story, Death Squad. I mean, you've done a lot. And Forster, production, direction. You're a director.
No, I don't make myself a director. I directed it once. I got through by the skin of my teeth.
Tell me about that. The Hollywood what?
This is called Hollywood Harry. It's a spoof of detective movies. It's not much, but not junk.
But you worked with your daughter, Catherine.
I worked with my daughter, Catherine, who was 14 at the time. When she was 6, she called me up and said, with a hoarse little voice, she said, "Daddy, me and Lizzie want to audition for Annie." They had gotten the record, of course, and they had been singing their little voices raw. And I explained to her that if she really wanted to work, she should do what she could in school, and I'd watch. And if she was really, intent on it, I'd find something for her to do. So when she was 12, I called her up. I told her I had been to Cannes. I realized that making movies must be an awful lot of fun because these guys were having a terrific amount of fun over there.
Right.
And that I wanted to try. And I said, but it was serious stuff. So if she was interested, she'd have to be serious. And she said she was. And she came out here to Los Angeles. It was a year and something later. By the time she was 14, we did the picture.
Right.
And she was terrific. Now. She has, and when she was finished with college, she went to UCLA,
Right.
I explained to her that I really couldn't do give her any help because my career was in the dumper, and so she should do something real, and
Right.
she went into business, and she's been in the business world for 10 years, but just when I got nominated here a couple of months ago, she decided it was time to come back and take a shot at her career, so she has done so, and she's become my development assistant, and,
How wonderful.
and so now she's
Now,
actually in there slugging.
Then you start conducting you've had some tough times. You start conducting acting class, putting actors together.
I
Now,
did that about 6 years ago when I really had nothing to do.
Right.
I was languishing, and I figured, well, let's at least share some information. So I opened that little actors workshop I always told actors to look for, one in which they worked a lot, because that's where you figure it out, by doing it and doing it and doing it and doing it and doing it.
Persistence and keeping.
It's a lot like
That's right.
tennis or you name it, anything else.
absolutely.
Doing it is where you figure it out.
Yeah.
Not that hard. And it should not be expensive, because, really what you're looking for is a place to step out and do something.
Right.
You do the work. You deliver you get out of it what you put into it. Pretty much. It's like a lot of other things. And so it shouldn't be real expensive. Otherwise, somebody has an incentive
You never
to
tell
keep
young
you in there.
actors to give up. You never say that to them.
Oh, I
understand.
don't know. Look, everybody's got to make that decision for him or herself. You never want to tell somebody to quit short of their goal. They might be able to hang in there and make it.
Yes.
Oh,
look at you. You kept in there. You hung in there. All of a sudden, a director, Quentin Tarantino, who watched your career for a long time.
That's right.
And the director, English director,
Paul Chart.
Paul Chart has just, he's watched you. Robert Forster, these two people are really, they watched Robert Forster for a long time, your career. And all of a sudden, they wanted you for this film, this great movie called Jackie Brown, which changed your whole life, Robert
See,
Forster.
a little piece of luck comes along, a guy who liked me when he was a kid, and
That's
I hadn't
right.
quit yet, and he said, I think I'll put this guy back to work. So there you go.
Quentin met you, and he started talking to you. What did he say? Tell me. What was the meeting like?
He had tried to hire me or thought about hiring me a couple of times before.
Right.
Once in his first script that he sold, True Romance, he sold it to a friend of mine, Bill Lustig. And Lustig called me up one day and he said, I got a great part for you, written by a guy named Quentin Tarantino. You never heard of this guy, but it's a pretty good script.
Right.
Before I could do the picture for him, it got snatched away and sent over to Tony Scott. He made a big picture out of it and hired Christopher Walken for the part, who I just worked with in a picture called Kiss Toledo Goodbye.
He's a good actor.
He's a very, very good actor. I'm an admirer of his.
I am too.
Yeah. So, listen, this new career of mine, I'm telling you, I've run into an awful lot of actors who I have always admired, and now
changed your whole life,
changed
Robert.
my whole life. So, Quentin, getting back to that, then had me read for him for Reservoir Dogs, the part of the old gangster, eventually played by Lawrence Tierney. And when I read for him, he said, listen, he said, this thing might not work out. He said, but don't worry, one of these days I'm going to use you. That's Quentin talking. And several years later, I ran into him at the where we have breakfast, where I see you all the time, at the Silver Spoon. And Quentin came over, and I asked him what he was doing. He said he was preparing Rum Punch, making it into a movie. He said, why don't you read it? And I did. And some months later, he showed up on the same patio and handed me a script and said, read this, see what you think. True to his word, this guy was a straight shooter.
Tell me about the scenes between Samuel Jackson. What a great actor. Working
Sam
with this
Jackson.
guy.
This guy is amazingly good. He is the most prepared actor I have ever worked with. You walk on the set with him, he is ready to go. And
I think
if
you are too.
don't know
I
your
think you are too,
words,
right?
Sam Jackson will give them to you. I think I don't have as sharp a memory for dialogue. He is very, very good. Anyway, no,
You got to be prepared.
I'm quite prepared.
Yeah.
Preparation's everything. That's one of the things I tell actors. There's not a lot of shortcuts, but preparation will save you, will make you confident. You prepare well, and you walk on that set. Now you got those words, and you're not sweating the words, and now you can be...
Whatever you want, that's
yes,
it.
you can
Absolutely.
concentrate on all the other needs. If there's an art form to film acting, part of it involves laying down believable stuff within the limitations of filming. You got to be... The guy who set the lights wants you to be in them. And the one who's listening for the words, if you don't say them correctly, he says or she says, no good for sound, start
Absolutely.
again. The one behind the lens, if you happen to do something too big for the frame, says no good for composition, start again. If I put the cup down in the wrong spot, somebody says no good for continuity.
Right.
You've got to deliver a stroke as an actor which advantages the needs of everybody at once.
Yes.
And that isn't the end of it. The other actor may have to do this emotionally in a scene, for whom I've got to build a little ramp
Right.
so that the actor can do this emotionally in a
Yes.
scene. And for my audience, I want them to get into a roller coaster car with me and have some fun, take a ride, have an adventure. I want them to be there with me at the end of the ride, so I got to bank it right, because if they don't believe what's going on, they'll fly out, they won't be with me at the end of the ride. And for me, my stuff, I want it to fall just as simply as physics requires. No more, no less, real, believable, authentic, true actions. And for the guy who hired me, it is my job to bring this thing in on time. I got to be ready when the guy says action and deliver this material quick,
Right.
no fooling around. So when you deliver that, and it may sound like a hard thing to do, that and also the other important things you have to do is deliver something for the writer who crafted the
Absolutely.
material and expects you to deliver the meaning, and for the guy who's directing and set up the shot to deliver whatever he needs you to do in that shot. And when you've accomplished that, it sounds like a big order.
Right, right.
But I know actors that I would not trust with a grocery list, and I include myself, who can do it 8 days a week. It's not that hard. But when you do it, you get a little reward for delivering something as efficiently as that. It's the reward of self-respect and respect from others and satisfaction. This is the reward that you get when you deliver excellence to anything,
Right.
any task of any kind. So, though it doesn't matter what you're doing, if you raise it to the level of an art form, and
Right.
I am proud to say it may even be true, that I can wash a set of dishes quicker, cleaner, and change a baby neater than 9 out of 10 women. I've taken those two jobs, which I hated at first when I first started having to
Right.
do them, and raised them reasonably to the level of an art form. And when you deliver excellence to any task of any kind, you get that reward: self-respect, respect from others, and satisfaction.
Delivery. Robert Forster, I want to show this clip. This is what the satisfaction is. This is your reward. Ladies and gentlemen, Robert Forster.
Put your mother on. Miss Gilmore? Miss Gilmore, this is Max Cherry. This is Reggie's, that's right, his bail bondsman. Look, Reggie is in big trouble. Now, I want to pick him up, and I want you to be responsible for him before I... Sit down. Yeah, I'd like you to make sure that he's there when I get there. And look, this is second chance for him. They don't get... That's correct. All right, so I'm counting on you to help me help your son. Thank you very much. Put him back on the line, please. All right, Reggie, we're clear on this. You got it? Good. Do yourself a really big favor and be there when I get there. How can I help you?
Where can I put my ash?
Use that cup there if you like.
Oh, and I need me a bond for 10,000.
You all right out there?
Yeah. Have some coffee?
Go right ahead.
Who's that big mandingo-looking nigga you got up there on that picture with you?
That's Winston. He works here.
Damn, he's a big one, ain't he? Y'all tight?
Yeah.
But you was boss, though, right?
Yeah.
Bet it was your idea to take that picture, too, wasn't it?
All right, you want a $10,000 bond? What have you got to put up for collateral?
Gonna have to use cash.
You have it with you?
Got it right here in my raptor bag.
You have cash. What do you need me for?
Come on, man, you know how they do. Black man show up with 10,000 cash, first thing they want to know is where I got it. Then they gonna want to keep a big chunk of it, start talking that court cost shit. Fuck that noise, Jack. I go through you.
Cost you $1,000 for the bond.
I can do that.
Who's it for? Relative?
Fella named Beaumont, they got him down in county. Started out drunk driving, but they wrote it up as possession of a concealed weapon. Dumb monkey ass had a pistol on him.
10,000 sounds high.
They run his name, got a hit. He been inside. Plus, he from Kentucky, and I think they kind of prejudiced against brothers from down south out here.
If he runs and I have to go to Kentucky to bring him back, you pay the expenses.
You think you can do that?
Done it. What's his full name?
Beaumont, that's all I know.
Would you say that Beaumont is his first or his last name?
If I had to guess, I'd say Beaumont's his Christian name.
Records office. Hello, this is Max Cherry Bail Bonds. Who's this, please?
Yo, Del.
Hi, Vic. I need you to look
gonna
up
wait in the car.
booking
All right,
card
man,
and
cool.
rough arrest.
We almost done here, right?
Getting there.
Yo.
I need you to look up.
You check out some music while you're sitting in the car. Take the key.
Which one's for the car?
This one right here. Use that little black thing there to turn off the alarm and unlock the door.
What do I do?
You ain't gotta do nothing, man. Just point it at the car, push the button, you hear a little ooh, ooh, ooh. That'll mean the door's unlocked and the alarm's off. Get in. Play the volume loud as you want to, but don't touch my levels now. I got them set just like I like them.
Okay.
Beaumont Livingston.
Livingston, huh?
On his prior, he served 9 months. He's working on 4 years probation.
You don't say.
You know what he's on probation for?
Ain't got a clue.
Possession of unregistered machine guns.
Damn. Now, they gonna consider that a violation of his probation?
They do consider this a violation of his probation. Your boy's looking at 10 years, plus the concealed weapon.
He ain't gonna like that. Beaumont ain't got a doing time kind of disposition.
I need your name and address.
Ordell Roby. ORDELLROBBIE. 1436 Florence Boulevard, Compton. 90222.
Is that a house or an apartment?
That's a house.
Robert, how did you feel the night you heard that you were nominated for Jackie Brown? I mean, come on, you've been in business a long time. You paid your dues. I hate to use that word, paid your dues, but...
Well, it wasn't a night deal, Skip. It was early in the morning.
Yeah.
I knew the thing was, it was within the realm of possibilities, of course, but I got awakened by a phone call and then countless phone calls.
Right.
But it was it was a surprise and it was a thrill.
Were you really surprised, Robert?
Yeah, sure. Listen, I didn't expect to get a nomination.
It's a Quentin Tarantino movie. It was one of the greatest. Really, let's face it, Samuel Jackson, Quentin Tarantino, Robert Forster.
You bet.
You had some great actors. Pam Grier.
You bet.
Great
Pam
actress.
was great.
Pam is a great actress.
Pam
Really.
also
What kind of woman is
paid
she,
her
really?
She's a beautiful woman and she's a lovely woman. She's she's in there. She's been hanging in there a long time also. So we credit her with stay power.
Right. Robert Forster, if you were not an actor, what would you have done?
Got me. I thought when I just said, I don't know, who knows. But I remember thinking when I decided to be an actor, I thought, boy, there's a lot of different things you could do as an actor. I mean, I'd hate to have a life that I only do one thing, and that seemed like there were a lot of other possibilities. Right. And without knowing much more about it than that, I said, gee, I think I'll try that.
What has been the biggest change for you right now since you've been nominated?
Oh, there's too much action. More. I'm busier than I ever expected
You're doing a movie
to be.
now, another
I'm
one.
working a lot, and in between work, there's endless things that have to be done. This is like a real job. I never expect. Listen, I've spent an awful lot of time as an actor killing time.
Right.
You got to sometimes
using that word, killing time.
Killing time. Looking for something to do, and that's why I started talking to actors when I had little to do, and then I decided that some of the things I had to say to actors had broader applications, so I put myself in a magazine called Speakers for Free. I developed a little menu of items that are basically the lessons of my life, and I spoke for free. Anybody wanted a free speaker, and spoke in all kinds of groups.